This is before.
Well, some of the ingredients, yeah.
Some of the ingredients.
We need some peppers here, right?
Peppers?
Yeah, we definitely need some peppers, and we got it here, so here we go. So we're gonna do a nice green bell pepper, medium-sized tomato, or onion rather. We're gonna have to defrost our meats, which we're gonna go with ground beef. We're gonna go with some hot Italian sausage. And we have some other ingredients we're going to add, but basically, and then of course we have our elbow macaroni. So it's a classic American chop suey. Some people call it goulash. I know we've always called it American chop suey. And what I want to do at this point is thaw this, get this thawing, and we can start chopping our vegetables.
So why do you put it in the microwave?
Well, it's frozen solid. So 1.5 pounds, this goes by ounces. So
yeah.
What is that? That's 24 ounces, right? So let's go with weight defrost, 24. And start. All right, so let that start frosting.
And as we are cooking it, once we get cooking it, we like to clean it up as we go.
Yes.
It makes it so
much easier, yeah.
Much easier.
Less of a chore at the end.
Yeah.
When you eat your meal, and then you have all these pots and pans and dishes and stuff to clean up. All right, so onions, peppers. Get our minced garlic. I prefer to use whole garlic, but we don't have that. So we're going to use our minced garlic today. And do is cut this way. This is the way Gordon Ramsay does it. So you don't get as much of a mess. Makes it easier. Works. And like Daddy Jack always says, waste not, want not. I get all these parts here. Right. That. A little bit of cleanup, not much. Seeds. There's a bit there that you can get rid of. All right, let's go ahead and start getting these small chop.
You have to be very careful cutting when you're cutting anything. You have to be very careful. How many years have you been cooking and doing this kind of work? Or
cooking? I've been cooking since I was a teenager. I would say like early teens, probably. It's a long time. Yeah.
Have you ever burnt food?
Oh yeah, especially when you're distracted, it happens. Try to avoid that, but that's something from experience you learn.
Yeah.
Pay attention and watch. Stay near the stove.
Yep.
Check. This doesn't have to be perfect, but you want a smaller, like pretty finely chopped. Right? We're waiting for the microwave to beep. And we're going to flip that over. We're thawing our ground beef, right?
Yes.
Got some elbow macaroni. And I just heard our microwave there, so we're gonna.
Yeah.
It's telling us to flip it over, I believe. Or did it do the whole 12 minutes? I don't know.
Yeah, it did.
It did. Okay. All right. I'm surprised. I would. Usually, when you thaw, it'll stop halfway through, or maybe quarter of the way through, or so.
I think it did. Yeah, it did.
It did stop. Okay, so it's not done. I'm gonna flip this over. These over.
Why do you flip it over?
Because it'll thaw evenly that way.
Okay.
Faster. So go ahead and start it again. All right. Let me finish, chop this a little bit finer. All we really have to do, as far as chopping, because we're using the minced garlic. But we do want to get our pasta boiling, so why not start that?
Yeah.
We get our big pot. Get some water in here. I don't measure the water. I just make sure there's plenty of water in there.
Yeah. Some people measure the water.
And they'll tell you bring 4 quarts of water to roll. You just make sure there's enough water. That's the biggest deal with boiling pasta. If you have too much,
Yeah.
it's just going to take a little longer to boil, but it's not going to interfere with the cooking process. And the nice thing is it's a one-pot meal, really,
Yeah.
right? So that's good. Now let's bring this to a full boil. What we call a furious boil. Full boil. High. Some people like to salt their water a little bit. I like a little salt in the water. A little bit. Alright, so we'll let that go. And personally, I do like to look at recipe. I mean, I know I could wing this. I've done it so many times, but I don't mind looking at a recipe just to make sure I don't forget anything.
Right.
So we're going to need some spices, some